Chapter 45. On the game icon, the blood-red eyes slowly opened, fiercely looking at Siddle and the M/AQ/demon lurking in the jungle. At the same time, the space seemed to be distorted, the vines that were reaching out from behind seemed to sense something was wrong and stopped. A few seconds later, a path suddenly appeared in front of Siddle. If there were two forks in front of you, one leading to a Japanese RPG, role-playing game, and the other leading to an American 3D movie, which path would you choose? Looking at the rotting corpses scattered everywhere under her feet, Siddle rushed down that path without hesitation. No matter what, she just wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. What the hell was Slender Man? If it was willing to chase after it, all the better. Siddle couldn't defeat it in its lair, but it wasn't certain in an unfamiliar place. Just thinking about the scene of the giant admiring the corpses created by the mines and the soft, sticky feeling under her feet made her clench her fists. Compared to resisting the cursed game, Siddle now just wanted to smash Slender Man's head to see what kind of evil thing was inside. Before she entered, she saw Jacqueline still standing dumbfounded at the side, rarely patiently reminding her, "You can choose to enter or stay in this forest." Seeing a cobblestone path suddenly appear in the dense forest, Jacqueline had not yet had time to show her surprise when she saw Siddle running into that path without hesitation. She hesitated for a moment, her face turned green and white, but in the end, she still hurriedly followed Siddle and ran inside. Strangely, after setting foot on this path, the surrounding dark forest seemed to be blocked by something, the stench dissipated, followed by a faint scent of flowers. Jacqueline didn't dare to leave Siddle's side. She followed closely behind, walking in fear. Jacqueline remembered that after Siddle did something to the game console, a path suddenly appeared here. Her eyes couldn't help but look at Siddle's hand, then she whispered, "Is that game console your special ability?" Siddle didn't listen to Jacqueline at all, only waved her hand at her, "Be quiet." She faintly heard a cheerful BGM. "Oh. This place is a bit strange." Siddle remembered that this was a horror game. If it weren't for the purpose of escaping Slender Man and the forest, where corpses were hung everywhere like dried meat, she wouldn't have opened that Nanisher no game. She didn't know the content of this game, but if it was a horror game, it should have a bit of a horror feel to it, right? This colorful cobblestone street, the sweet scent of flowers hitting her face, along with this cheerful background music. If she hadn't downloaded the wrong game, then this game must be bugged. Something unusual happened, there must be something strange. Siddle listened carefully to the music. However, after she walked on the road for a while, the sounds suddenly stopped. The road had reached its end, and Siddle also saw a village. In short, everywhere was very suitable for the style of a village in a Japanese RPG game. There were a few young men standing scattered on the gray stone-paved village road. On the lawn, flowers grew like carpets, and trees grew in clumps, full of vitality. The air was filled with the fragrant scent of flowers. Jacqueline took a deep breath, and couldn't help but feel that she had followed the right person. It looked very beautiful and safe here. It was just that this small town seemed to be Asian in style, the people there were also Asian. And Siddle was standing silently at the entrance of the village. She looked at everything before her eyes and fell into deep thought. Whether this place was safe or not would be discussed later, the important thing right now was that she didn't know Japanese. Jacqueline was the same. Then, how could she communicate with these people? Perhaps noticing Siddle and Jacqueline at the village gate, a young man walked over and asked enthusiastically, "Are you guys also coming to participate in the sacrificial ceremony tonight?" Oh, you actually understood. If she understood, Siddle's eyes lit up. She didn't know what the sacrificial ceremony the young man was talking about, so she avoided the main point of the question and said, "We're just tourists passing by." "Is there a hotel here?" After she finished speaking, she remembered that she didn't bring any money, and she didn't know if Jacqueline had any money, so she quickly corrected herself, "There's a place to wash your hands and feet." Siddle wanted to wash the dirt off her body and then wash the crowbar as well. She was truly haunted by Slender Man's forest. The young man said, "Of course, Our Baruna village is famous for its crystal clear spring water. He smiled brightly, pointed to the lake behind him, and said, "This is where people usually wash their things. But if you are an outsider, it's best not to stay here." The young man kindly reminded, "Baruna village does not accept outsiders, the ceremony is about to start tonight, so you too should leave early. If there are still people outside during the ceremony, something terrible will happen." Siddle listened to this person while washing her face, and when she heard this, she frowned. Ceremony, festival, outsiders. It was really clever. Jacqueline didn't know what was going on, and could only stay silently by Siddle's side, listening to her probe the young man for information. After a while of chatting, Siddle learned a lot of things. Baruna village is a place that has received many favors from the water god. In order to prevent the stream from drying up, every year they have to create a doll to offer to the sacred stream to perform a sacrificial ceremony. The sacred stream is located in the center of the village and is also a forbidden area, usually not allowed to enter or exit. Only once a year on the day of the sacrifice, the priest and village chief leads 8 warriors to perform the sacrificial ceremony. On the night of the sacrifice, there will be little demons who are jealous of the power of the water god to cause trouble. Therefore, every year on the day of the sacrifice, everyone will go home early, close the door and go to sleep, to prevent being taken away by the demons. Ah, the young man scratched his head. Speaking of which, this year's sacrificial doll is a bit strange, very different from previous years. The sacrificial doll this year even has a name. It seems, it's Siddle. I'm not the one in charge of the sacrifice, so I don't remember very well. Siddle was about to keep her polite smile as before, indicating that she was listening, but at this moment her smile suddenly froze. Wait. What's the name of that doll? Her scalp went numb, and a chill ran down her spine in an instant, but she could only continue to laugh awkwardly and politely say, that's really strange. Siddle laughed as she secretly pinched Jacqueline with her right hand, reminding her to pay attention to her surprised and flustered expression. "I've told you so many things in a flash." The young man looked at the sky and waved his hand. "It's late, I have to go back. Remember, the sacrifice ceremony starts at 7 o'clock, so after 7 o'clock, after dark, absolutely do not wander around the village." "Wait a minute," Siddle smiled and called him back. "Where is your sacrificial doll?" "Actually, I have admired the water god for a long time. Can I see the sacrificial objects dedicated to him?" "Ah." The young man turned around and looked at her strangely. "You are an outsider, but you are interested in our sacrificial offerings?" Siddle gave a fake smile, silently replying in her heart, she couldn't help but care about this matter. After all, that doll had the same name as her. "It's okay to tell you," the young man said, "the doll is placed in the priest's house, which is also the village chief's house. If you want to visit, just go find the village chief." He showed Siddle the way. Siddle smiled gratefully, and after the young man left, Jacqueline pulled her to a corner of the lawn. "Siddle, you." The little girl wanted to ask Siddle what happened to that doll, but was suddenly caught off guard by Siddle covering her mouth. From now on, the blonde-haired, blue-eyed little girl said seriously, "My name is Sadako. My mother was from this village, but she moved away when she was young. I came back this time to find my relatives." Siddle randomly picked a name. "Jacqueline." The little girl looked at Siddle in disbelief and said, "Do you think your appearance has anything to do with Asians?" "It doesn't matter," Siddle said, "anyway, just remember my new name and don't call me by the wrong name." For some reason, when she learned that the doll had the same name as her, Siddle always felt that if the people who believed in the water god knew her name, something bad would happen. "Jacqueline, all right." After answering, the little girl looked at the darkening sky and said anxiously, "Should we leave? It seems like it's getting dark here. Didn't that person just say there would be ghosts at night? Should we leave this village first? Go back to the road outside and wait?" "No." Siddle looked at the large door that had been locked for who knows when, and slowly shook her head. "I have to go find the priest, then participate in the ritual." Siddle's intuition told her that if she couldn't stop the sacrifice of that doll tonight, something might happen to her. Although she didn't know what it was, it definitely wasn't something good. Jacqueline was a little worried, but it's almost dark. Ever since she saw Slender Man, Jacqueline had become more and more convinced of the ghost theory, and had no doubts about the ghost stories that were passed down by word of mouth. Siddle, but you can't go out either. She signaled Jacqueline to look behind her. Jacqueline was about to say that she could climb the wall to escape, but when she turned around, she saw the 3 to 4 meter tall faceless monster standing outside the village. Slender Man's silhouette loomed outside the wall surrounding the village, his slender body like a withered ancient tree guarding the village gate. What was worth worrying about was that the demons were all around her. What was even more frightening was that this time, there were a few more tentacles behind it that looked like vines. It had really chased all the way here. Siddle slowly said, "It seems like it really sees you as its true love." "Jacqueline, thank you, I really don't want this kind of love." The little girl lowered her head in despair. "So what should we do now?" "I have to go find the village chief." Siddle pondered for a moment. "If you want to follow me, you have to follow my arrangements, otherwise if you get into trouble, I won't care. If you don't want to come with me, then go find a place to hide yourself and see if you can survive the night." "Jacqueline, I'll go with you." She remembered Siddle's performance on the way, then looked at the sky that was gradually getting dark. The village covered in darkness seemed to reveal an ominous sign. Jacqueline felt uneasy, and didn't hesitate to speak her mind. Siddle wasn't too surprised either. The two were walking on the cobblestone road in the village. There was a wooden bridge across the lake. In the middle of the wooden bridge was a stone statue. Siddle led Jacqueline across the bridge, avoid the statue and go towards the village chief's house. Jacqueline asked worriedly, "Why are we going to the village chief's house?" "No one here accepts outsiders, let alone allows us to participate in the sacrifice." Siddle thought for a moment, "I just want to see that doll." She wanted to see what the doll named after her looked like. Then steal it. Then hide it, making it impossible for them to hold the sacrifice. "We can't let those idiots use their names to sacrifice to something other than the water god." Jacqueline. "Siddle, if we steal the doll, they won't be able to hold the sacrifice. If the sacrifice doesn't start, then no demons will appear in the village." She concluded happily, "Then we'll be safe." As for whether Baruna village would lose the water god's protection because it couldn't sacrifice, that had nothing to do with her. She was just an innocent foreigner. Jacqueline. Damn it, it sounded so reasonable, she couldn't refute it. But, Jacqueline tried to choose her words, "We." Siddle interrupted her, "There are no buts, we must succeed." However, as soon as Siddle said that strongly, she quickly received bad news. They were late, the sacrifice had already begun.